Hi, I'm Kat and I'm making my own wedding dress. Today I want to show you finally the sketches that are inside of my sketchbook, so you finally get to see my sort of vision for how these dresses are going to go. I also want to show you some of the fabric swatches I've gotten so far and how I'm progressing with my bead embroidery skills, which is very important because it's kind of a major component of at least one, if not two, of the dresses. So let's get started. So this is my sketchbook. Very excited to finally show you. I finally feel like it's ready to have some other human eyes on it, which is very cool. So I've got my title page here, and then I just sort of went through, and it's not in any particular order because whenever I needed to add something I just added it to the next page, but I'll start a table of contents soon to help keep track. So the first thing I did was I made a list of elements that I love in dresses that I found. So those are things like the deep V back and the sweetheart neckline and the beading and the lace extending past the neckline of the dress, layers in the sheer skirt, things like that. And then I made a list of inspiration, which was these are basically the Pinterest searches that I have been using to find dresses that I like. 1940s Hollywood glam, Art Deco and flapper, textural embellishment, monotone florals, 50s tea-length dresses for the second dress, and Zuhair Murad, Anna Campbell, and Maggie Sotero I all talked about in my last video, so you should go check that out if you haven't seen it. Down here I've made a list of all of the things that I'm going to be making for my dress. So I've got the ceremony dress, the reception dress, a beaded flower crown, my wedding shawl, which I haven't started yet, but I have ordered yarn, so that's exciting, and my silk bouquet. And then on the next page I've gathered some of my favorite inspiration from Pinterest, and I've printed it all out. These are all on my Pinterest board as well, but it's just nice to have them all in one place when I'm working on my sketchbook. The next thing I've got here is a list of sources. So these are some of the things that I figured I would have trouble with sourcing, like the sequins and some crystals and the spiral steel boning and some things like that. So I've made a list here, and I'm coming back and updating it when I find sources for those things. I've got a list of costs as they come up with the source and how much was purchased versus how much was used. It's not really very filled out yet, but we'll get there. And then the moment you've all been waiting for. This is my first page of sketches. So this is my ceremony dress. You can see sort of hints of beading going on up here, the kind of straps that I'm thinking about, and that kind of neckline you can see here as well. And then I've drawn in the seam line on this side so that I can refer back to that later. I've made some notes about the sorts of things I might like for the skirt. I've got my silk tulle as my upper layer, then the chiffon and the satin for the lower layer. I'm thinking about maybe adding some stiffness to the hem, and then I've got the low back over here with some different notes to myself, as well as the idea that I'm going to make a mock-up, which is going to be just exactly like the ceremony dress in all ways, except without the beading. So it'll have all the understructure, it'll have the same shape skirt and the same shape upper, and I'll make it out of a similar fabric. Give me a chance to sort of work out any wrinkles that I'm not expecting. And then on this next page I've also done a little X-ray vision color-coded diagram, so these pink areas are is the boning, and then I've also got the beading in this teal and then the dress underneath so that I can sort of plan out where that's going to go. And I've also got the buttons here. I don't know if I'm going to do bridal buttons or a zipper. I'm not really sure. Still working on that, but I've got some time to decide, so I think it'll be alright. And then the next page. These are the places that I've visited so far for supplies, and then if I liked anything at any of those places or on any of those websites, in Dharma's case, I've made a note of them here of what the fabric was that I liked, how heavy it was, how wide it was, and how expensive it was. And in the next page I started working on some tambour beading samples, so these are some very similar to that, to the embroidery, which I'll show you in a little bit. Some of the flowers that I've been working on here, design elements that I like, I added again, and then I also made a little note to myself here about satin stitch because that was quite difficult for me to find, so I just figured I'd have it here so that I'd be able to refer to it later. This is my vlog timeline, which is mostly a secret, and as you can see also mostly not filled in, so we'll see how we go, but I'm trying to schedule those updates. And then here is the reception dress. So I've got this, this dress is in my drafting book from the 50s, of a 50s type sundress kind of situation, and then the bottom I think is going to be pleated, very full, a little bit fluffy, and then I'm going to have a colored petticoat underneath so that you can see it when I spin. Another thing that I'm really trying to do is do sort of an ombre layered skirt so that if these are pleats, and then when I spin or move or kick my feet or anything, the color will be exposed underneath the pleats, but when I'm just standing still I want that color to be hidden. skin. So I'm still working on the technicality of how to do that, which is kind of what this was about. I've also got like a sort of closer up of the neckline, and I'm going to do some embellishment around the halter area and on these straps that sort of comes down, but I want to leave the middle of this mostly just plain because I want the structure of the dress to show really well. And then this is my wedding shawl, how I'm going to wear it over my reception dress. I don't plan on wearing it with a ceremony. The wedding's going to be in the New Zealand summer, so it's going to be really warm. I don't really think I need a cashmere shawl to keep me warm, but I think I probably will at night, and also I really want one, so I'm making one. And then this is the last thing I have to show you, which is they're in color! So I've done a little watercolor. I went a little overboard on the pink here. I just don't think it's going to be that pink, but I do like the hint of pink. Here's a little bit better. There's a hint of pink still as well, but things are a little more toned down. But you can see sort of the decoration, a little bit shiny, a little bit of color, not too much, and then sort of spots of those things coming down the dress, and then the really ruffly hemline, which I like, and then the low back, and you can see how my skin peeks through some of those areas there. And then over here, I've got colorful embellishment. I may have gone a little overboard. I may stick to pastel for the actual dress. I'm not really sure about that. And then you can see these pleats that mostly hide the color, but it peeks out a little bit at the bottom. So I'm really working on trying to recreate that, and I really hope it works. I guess we'll find out. So, as far as samples are concerned, I've got this lace sample that I don't think I'm going to use, but it's still very pretty. It's a cotton lace on a nylon tulle backing, so that's quite pretty. I really like it, but I just don't think lace is going to feature. I know I said that at the beginning, and then I sort of waffled because I saw some really nice lace dresses, but just don't think lace is going to feature in this dress. It was lovely. I'm glad I went and got it, but just not feeling it for me. What I do have though is this very pretty, this is just a plain old nylon tulle, which is not very exciting, except that it's very drapey, which I like, but I think I can recreate this in silk. What I do like about it a lot is the color. So I had this color, and actually when I was in the shop, I was using this lace that I didn't end up liking to drape over, and you can really see the color difference there, especially when the tulle sort of gathers. And I really liked how it made the lace pop, and so that's what gave me the idea, like we saw in the sketches, to do those 3 layers. So my top layer will be the lightest, and then a slightly darker, and then a slightly darker underneath, and when those layers fold, it should give a really nice depth to the dress. So I'm really excited about this sample, mostly just for its color. Another one that I'm excited about for its color then is this sort of blushy taffeta. Definitely not going to be using taffeta, but this is another pink one that looks really nice behind the lighter color. So I do like that. And then for the lowest color, or for the lowest fabric, I'm thinking something like this silk satin, which has got a really nice body, really nice drape. This is just a white, so I'm looking at dyeing something just because I need 3 that sort of go together, 1, 2, 3 under each other. I'm probably going to have to end up dyeing it, which I'm fine with. I can dye silk. Some other samples that I have are from Haas & Freer. If you're in Auckland, check them out. They have an online store. All of this, by the way, I'm going to link in my blog post, so you can check out all of the sources that I've got for all of the things that I've found so far if you're making a wedding dress of your own. But anyway, from Haas & Freer, I've got another silk satin. It's a little bit of a lighter weight, but it's quite nice. It's got that nice body, and it's really soft, and it's not too shiny, but it's, you know, it's shiny. I've got a couple of lining options here. This rayon Bemberg and another sort of viscose that would be good for lining, and then I also have this georgette that I might use for the middle layer. It's quite sheer, as you can see. It's like a chiffon. And then the most exciting thing that I have from Haas & Freer that I want to show you is this illusion tulle. So I've got a little bit attached here. This is the tulle. As you can see, it's very sheer, and it's very tightly woven, which is nice because I am using it, as you can see, for my bead embroidery. So that's really cool. It's holding the embroidery really well. Traditionally with tambour beading, and I'm going to talk a whole lot about tambour beading later once I get my mind around it a little more. Traditionally with tambour beading, you do it on like an organza or chiffon or something like that, something with a little bit of a tighter weave. But I'm doing it on the tulle because I am planning on having areas, like we saw in the sketches, where the dress will overlap my skin a little bit, and this one is really nice. When it overlaps with my skin, you can hardly see it at all there. So that's There you can see it against my, it basically just disappears, which is why it's called Invisible Tulle. So I'm still working on that. My skills are a little, you know, we're sort of developing a little bit there, but I love the sequins. I love that sequin with the pearl in the middle and this sort of lines of the beads here that I've got going on. So I've just got to practice that, and like you saw in my sketchbook, I'm not very far along with the actual designing of the beadwork, but we'll get there eventually. So that's awesome. Another thing that I've got, you saw the sequins that I was working on there. Another thing that I've got is the sequin color card from a French sequin manufacturer, so you can see them sparkle. This is the specific wedding dress color card, so it's got all of their wedding related colors, all of the golds, the silvers, and the whites, and those sorts of things. There's a couple clear ones on there as well. So I have to pick my colors, and it's awesome that I've got the color card, which they sent me for free, by the way, which is amazing. I'll link them in my blog post as well. All the way from France, of all places. So it's really helpful that I've got those color cards because, like I said, I'm planning on dyeing my fabric, so it's important that the sequins match, it's important that the beads match, everything has to kind of go together. So things are coming along. I'm so excited about it. I'm finally ready to start the next phase, which I think is going to be drafting and making my pattern, getting it ready, doing all of the little things that I need to do to sort of get ready to actually start the progress of sewing. If you like this video, that's awesome. Be sure to subscribe so that you get the updates when I post new videos. You can also like or comment below, just saying. If you're interested in any of the things that I talked about today or want to follow any of the links, check that out on catmakes.com. You can also follow me on catmakes.com to find out what else I'm sewing, and you can come say hi on Instagram at @catclubinout. See you later.